It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 4 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 23rd of July in the year of our Lord 2023. Season 14, episode dose. 637 times you have been welcomed to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Welcome. We're going to try something different. Hold on. With the intro. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And I didn't change my shirt again because I'm feeling saucy. About to appear on the right side of your screen is my co-host and a man who did change his shirt. He is Alex.
Well, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around 14 years.
Well, 13 years. We're in our 14th season.
Yeah, but my concept still stands. It is
almost a decade and a half of this.
That's an eternity.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost to a full generation if you think about it.
Well, I have to go back and look because I think I joined in single digits, but oh my God.
Kids born the day this show debuted are almost in high school.
Oh my.
Let that sink in, kids.
It did, and now my back hurts.
Don out on assignment today. It is his wedding anniversary, so happy anniversary to he and Faith. Still going. She still puts up with his shenanigans. There are many. But we love Don, and we're excited that they're having a great anniversary, and we love Faith, so all is well. Let us dive right in. NASCAR talk today was the highpoint.com 400 at Pocono. That's part of the reason I love doing
the naming on these things.
Do you remember last week's race, the Crayon 400, which had nothing to do with Crayola? That you had to research.
Yeah, I remember looking that up and going, "Dear God, why?"
I'm not saying. I'm just
saying. People want to shell out money for it.
But in case you were wondering, we're in NASCAR talk. Your top 10 finishers starting. That can't be. Is that right? Starting in 35th and finishing 10th. Chase Elliott, attorney at law. In the number 9 Chevrolet. In the number 14 Chevrolet. Starting in 24th. We must have had some big wrecks in this particular race.
That's all I can think.
A name we have not said in a top 10 in a very, very long time. Eric Jones. Another name we haven't said in a very long time. Finishing in 8th, starting in 26th. They call him Halle. It is Harrison Burton in the number 21 Ford. I'm going to let that one sink in for a minute.
No, I think that one's a miss, sir.
Harrison Halliburton.
We could do better. You can do better.
It was off the cuff. I didn't see it. I hadn't seen it until now. It's the best I could do. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., because as we know by NASCAR law, there must be at least one junior at all times. He starts in 22nd, finishes in 7th. Starting in 5th and dropping to 6th, Christopher Ring My Bell in the number 20 Toyota. Toyota also gets the number 5 spot with Ty. Yes, he is related to Joe Gibbs. Starting 11th and finishing in 5. Harvick starts in 4th, ends in 4th in the number 4 Ford. Consistency. Martin Truex Jr. starts in the silver, winds up in the bronze. Tyler the Adventures of Reddick starts in 7th, gets the silver. And Denny Moons over my Hamlin finishes the race in 1st. Let's talk about your playoff standings because we're only about, 6 weeks from the playoffs?
Depending on when it is, yes.
I think it's right around the beginning of September.
Labor Day?
Yeah. Somewhere in that neighborhood where they will be all out on the track. See what I did there? If the playoffs started today, your odd men out would still be, I believe, the same 2 we had last week. AJ Allmendinger. Love ordering that at Denny's. And Daniel Suarez, You Kill My Father, Prepare to Die. Currently in 16th, Michael McDowell. Which is a great story on our show last week. If you missed it, go back and look for it. He is currently only 1 point behind Bubba Wallace. So Bubba Wallace back in the playoff picture. Bubba is now 31 points back on Stenhouse after his performance today. that will probably change as well. Stenhouse a little under 50 points behind Reddick. Reddick now 12 points back on Buescher. He is 11 points back on Keselowski. Keselowski now 24 back on Logano. Logano only 5 back on Harvick. Harvick 6 back on Kyle Larson. Caveman a journey. Kyle Larson is 7 back on the Stone. The Stone 8 back on Chastain. Chastain is only 4 back on Kyle Busch, the only one of the Busch brothers in the top 16 right now. Kyle is 8 points back on Moons Over My Hamlin. Hamlin 4 back on Bell. Bell now 35 back on the poet William Byron, and Truex Jr. now 17 up on him. Let's talk about where we're going next. Next week, this could be my favorite race name of the year. Because it's joy.
High bar.
It's something I enjoy. It's a verb. We're going to be at Richmond Raceway in Richmond, Virginia, 400 laps, 300 miles. Means we've got about 1.25 miles. It is the Cookout 400.
This did not go the direction I anticipated, but everybody likes cookouts.
Everybody likes cookouts. I still haven't done one yet this year. It's been way too hot.
Yeah, it's been disgusting.
I woke up this morning at 8:30. It was 70 degrees before I went to church. By the time I got to church at noon, it was 95.
And this was our cold snap, as they called it.
Well, and they said, what did they say? Like now 19 out of 23 days in July, it's been over 100 degrees here in the Metroplex.
Still not trying to compete with Arizona or anything, but we're not far off.
Yeah, my people up in Pennsylvania were complaining, and I was like, trade you.
Having been there while they were complaining, I just kind of did this.
Congratulations to my Miami Marlins getting their first win after the All-Star break today.
Before we leave NASCAR talk, playoffs start September 3rd.
So the same day as All Out. Labor Day weekend. All right. But congratulations to my Marlins getting their first win post All-Star break today. Whoo! We got that going for us, which is nice. Let's go through your standings because remember, we have 2 games to play today. In the AL East, the Yankees have moved up in the standings. They were in the cellar last week at this time. They are now Boston now 9 games out of first place. How bad is it when you're 5 games above 500 and you're last in the division?
That is the murderer's row of divisions right now.
And they're a half game back on the Yankees. The Yankees now 1.5 back on Toronto. Tampa Bay falls out of first place for the first time on Friday. Toronto is 5 back on Tampa Bay, but Baltimore, starting to come alive, are now up on Tampa Bay by 2 games. In the AL Central, before we get there, let us play the first of 2 of North America's favorite game shows. Alex, are you ready?
I am ready.
How many games lie between the first team in the AL Central and the last team in the AL East?
The teams in the AL East have been playing well lately compared to the AL Central. So,
and in whose favor?
I will say that it has expanded to a 6-game lead for the last place team in the East.
I would say under normal circumstances, that is a very good assessment, but you are not correct. The Boston Red Sox are currently 52-47. In the AL Central, the last place team in the AL Central is the Kansas City Royals. In comparison, remember, Boston is 52-47. Kansas City is 28-73 right now. They're 20. They are subtract 3 from that win total, and that's how many games back they are. They're 25 back in the division. They are 13 back of the White Sox. The White Sox now 5 back of the Tigers. The Tigers now 4 back on Cleveland. Cleveland has now 3 back on Minnesota. Minnesota currently leads the AL Central. They are 1 win better than Boston.
Oh, really?
They are 53 and 48.
I knew Minnesota had been playing well.
They've won 3 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10.
Yeah. Where's Mike to chime in now with the Twins in first?
In the AL West, the Oakland A's, we'll get to them here in a little while. Seattle and Law are both tied at 8 back. They are both 5 games back on Houston, now 3 back on the Rangers. I love the moxie of Ranger fans. I love y'all. I do.
I'm sorry, sir. You mispronounced delusion.
I mean, we all know that post All-Star break is where the Rangers begin to melt down. But they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Heat.
They're 7-3 in their last 10. I mean, I'm still ready for the fallout. You give us a pitcher and he's out for the year, But we'll get back to Oakland.
I warned ahead of time.
In the NL West, the Colorado Rockies currently 18.5 back in their division. They're 8.5 back on San Diego. The Padres are 6 back on the Giants. The Giants in Arizona are actually tied, but they are both 4 games behind Misty's beloved Dodgers, who she is watching them play today. The Pittsburgh Pirates are pretty terrible. They've fallen down to last place in the NL Central. They're 11.5 back. They're a half game back on the Cardinals. The Cardinals now 4.5 back on the Cubs. The Cubs are now 6 back on Cincinnati, but Cincinnati, who have won 5 in a row, starting to get the wheels back on after a terrible start in the second half of the season. They're now a half game back on Milwaukee. The longest win streak, I believe, in the league.
You want my hot take in this scope?
Please do.
Because it'll make me angry. Within the next 3 years, the Reds and the Pirates will become the ultimate race for a division winner.
Ooh. You said it live. We've got it recorded.
And I'm not happy about either of them because, well, we know about Cincinnati, but Pittsburgh's right across the border.
And in the only division that matters, the NL East, the Washington Nationals.
The reason we're not last.
They've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
They're still 23.5 games out in the division. And you're up on them by 5.5 games.
And that's all.
You're still 6.5 back on Philly, who's tied with the Marlins, who are now 2-8 in their last 10. And that other one came before the All-Star break.
Yeah, and we're going to get smoked by 5 runs tonight. That's my prediction.
God, Atlanta's now 11.5 up in the division.
It's Atlanta and everyone else.
But here's the deal. None of it matters if we can't get it done in October.
Also true.
This is what scares me. I need Atlanta to keep. Speaking of Atlanta, the big deal that they do. Like we have the dot race, and so the big deal they do in Atlanta, right?
The freeze.
Yes. Did you see what happened the other day?
Oh, it's happened multiple times, but this one was bad.
The guy almost got the freeze and literally fell.
Biffed it. Yep.
It's like, oh. And freeze just.
Dude's not paid to look around.
I'm like, 5 seconds is not a long time for him to catch up.
No. Because that is a legit sprinter.
Are you ready for North America's favorite game show?
Based on how bad Oakland has been, I'm not sure, but here we go.
It is time, and Don has sent me a text with his prediction, by the way.
Okay, so he looked it up.
Play North America's other favorite game show. What is the run differential for the Oakland Athletics? Again. Let me give you Don's prediction first.
Well, did we say what their record was? I missed that.
I skipped everything this week.
Fair enough.
Don has predicted a -262.
Oh, that's got to be too high. I'm going to go probably about 100 games, 2 and change. I'm going to go with 232, -232.
The Oakland Athletics have played 102 games at this point. They are 28-74. That is a win percentage of 275. They are 32 games back in the division. At home, they are 15-39. On the road, they are 13-35. They are 3-7 in their last 10, losing today. Going into today. To give you a comparison, looking at the other last place teams in Major League Baseball, the Nationals are at a minus 94.
It's about what you'd expect.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are at a minus 72.
Still within range.
The Colorado Rockies, minus 140.
Which is surprising because they score a lot of runs.
Kansas City, minus 166.
Ooh, that's worse than I would have expected.
Boston, plus 36.
It's going to be bigger after the end of today.
But here's the thing. If you look at that division, Baltimore is only at 10 runs better than them.
Mm-hmm.
They're tied with Toronto. The Yankees are at a plus 12. Tampa Bay's a plus 146.
Pitching.
Texas is at a plus 147.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, who sits right above them, is at a plus 29.
Hit and miss, yeah.
Don indeed was too high.
However,
by 5 runs. They are at a minus 257 on July 23rd. This team might not break 50 wins.
Yeah, I'm going to say something else that you're going to might be mildly shocked about. We were talking about the A's possibly going after the record for the worst run differential.
Mm-hmm.
Now, throw out the pre-1900, 1,200 runs. The modern record is about minus 500.
Okay.
This A's team, despite being down that much, will not come within 100 runs of that.
They're on pace for probably, well, they might break 4.
I am saying that they will not break 350.
Vegas hopes they do.
At this point, what you're looking at is they're starting to bring up. Here's the crazy part of what Oakland's doing, and it's kind of smart. They're bringing up their big prospects to get seasoning now so that by the time they are the Las Vegas, they have some seasoning on their young players who are going to be some quality bats and some quality pitching.
What if they named them the Las Vegas Z's?
I'm sorry, I need you to clarify that letter.
Z.
Why Z?
Because they want to be so far away from being the A's, they want to completely reboot it.
You know, this only a few days after I learned that there is a minor league team that is known as the Flying Chanclas.
That's why I love minor league baseball.
Absolutely. You know what? That could theoretically not be our only team name talk of the day.
Did you see the other interesting stat, I believe, from this past week for Major League Baseball?
Which one?
The double digits one.
You might as well just say it. That's not
right after the All-Star break. There were 8 games where at least one team scored in double digits.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say of those 8 games, only 2 or 3 didn't. That is the most double-digit scores in Major League Baseball since 94. 1894!
Actually, that's not even the craziest baseball stat I heard today.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So, baseball has existed for 147 years.
It has.
Long time. What's up?
I was agreeing with you.
Now, if you take every single player who has been on a roster in uniform, it's a little over 23,000.
Okay.
The smallest ballpark by capacity is Progressive Field in Cleveland. and it is just short of 39,000. So if you take every single person who has ever played or even been on a major league team, they would only fill the smallest stadium by about 61%.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Would you like to give your other naming news since we're in sports talk?
So the other naming news is that the NFL owners have approved the sale of the Washington Commies. One of the things that the new group, which has Magic Johnson and is, I want to say it's Josh Harris, who also owns the New Jersey Devils and a portion of the 76ers, they have said they want to try and erase every Dan Snyder bit from that team.
Yeah, the quote I read from Magic was, no naming rights are never off the table.
True, but we've talked about it before. I think I have the name.
Go for it.
And it's a little bit of a one. We have long lauded the historical representation for towns and historical representation for them. Now, we can't just rip off the San Diego Fleet. The AF owns that. But what do you feel about the Washington Brigade? And then with all of your advertising details, you could refer to your stadium as the Brig. And you fall right into all of that aspect because brigade is not limited to a specific armed forces, but you can apply it to any branch. Dear Magic Johnson, you were always very nice to my parents. You can have that one for free. Maybe just a little thank you.
We would like 1% of the merch sales.
I will take, you know what? For that, I will take 0.5%. I know how this works.
I thought you were going to talk about the other naming thing too.
Well, there is that other football news.
Mm-hmm. And we're in
XFL. The XFL has filed and allegedly succeeded in trademarking one of their past teams that did not exist in the last iteration last year in the Los Angeles Wildcats.
Football. And if they don't use that during the games, I will be very upset.
I think you
fans hanging out with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. Let's go.
Here's your problem, though, and I'm not trying to take a dig. You're going to need to have people in the stands old enough to get that reference.
I don't care if they do or not. I got the reference. That's what matters. Keep up, America. Get on my level. Let us get into television talk. I surprisingly have quite a bit of entertainment talk this week.
Okay.
Given everything that's going on, and another great discussion from San Diego Comic-Con on Fat Man on Batman, or no, I'm sorry, it's Fat Man Beyond now, that they did. They had a movies pop up at a local bar out there, and Mark and Kevin had a great discussion about the writer's strike and the actor's strike, and there might be another one coming this week, perhaps. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Would it start with a D?
No, it does not.
Babylon
5, announced by J. Michael Straczynski, will be getting a Blu-ray release in December. So if you are a fan of the Babylon 5, as my old man was, that was big news for fans of that show this week. So we want to put that out there. AMC has announced that we got a lot of what they said this week was Walking Dead spinoff news. There is a new title for the Rick and Michonne spinoff. It will now be called The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. Which, wouldn't that be most of them?
We would kind of have a pretty boring show with no dialogue if it wasn't.
I'm just saying. And they have renewed The Walking Dead Dead City and The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon for season 2, but I don't think the latter of that 2 has even started.
So, it has not.
But apparently, from what I've read from that, he will have woken up in Europe and not quite sure how he got there which is part of the plot line. So,
Which, mystery sells. It works well.
CBS has said that both Yellowstone and SEAL Team Season 5 will be on the CBS this fall. So we talked about this a little bit last week. Alex was out on assignment. One of the things I brought up, and I've had multiple conversations with multiple people about this, is ABC will be showing Ms. Marvel over 2 nights in August. How that works from a residual standpoint is going to be very interesting, because since that was a streaming only Disney Plus show, how does that affect Ms. Villani from getting her residual and that cast? Did I say her name right? Isn't her?
I am unfamiliar. I do apologize.
No, I want to make sure because she is. We also announced Iman Vellani is her name. She's also working on a Ms. Marvel comic title as well with them. How this is going to work from now we're going to put it on broadcast television. Is there a deal in place for her to get paid for those residuals? It's going to be very interesting to see. And now CBS is
I almost wonder if these shifts are actually to appease actors, like that they would, based on certain verbiage used in contracts, whether or not this would be a bump for select talent by putting them on a regular station rather than a detractor from a streaming contract.
I would be interested. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but I will be keeping my ear to the ground. Let's see. FX has announced September 12th, 10 p.m. Eastern, the season premiere of Welcome to Wrexham.
Nice.
I watched the exhibition the other night on the ESPN, watched the entire match, got to watch it live as they got taken to the woodshed. But they did win last night against LA Galaxy second team, beat them up.
But at the same time, that first match, like we've said, Chelsea is the upper echelon of the upper echelon. Wrexham is working their way up, and they are 3 steps from bare minimum at this point?
Yeah. And
with 5 to 7 steps to go.
And it's like I told you, I got to see it. I got to watch them play. My cousin was actually at the match, so I got to watch Wrexham. So I'm very happy. And I didn't have to watch a replay. I'm still trying to figure out how I can watch the matches because I have it set for ESPN Plus to alert me, and it's not. So let's see here. HBO has announced that Hard Knocks will be the Jets this season. So JTS choke. Here we go. You can't make me believe in the Jets.
Nice.
You just can't. I have lived in the AFC East my entire life. You cannot convince me about the Jets if it ain't 1971. If I don't have this,
I stand by my prior statement of my prior stance. If we get Aaron Rodgers explaining how drugs makes him a better quarterback, that's an Emmy winner.
Rolling the doobies. HGTV news this week. They have renewed Christina on the Coast and Christina in the Country. This is Christina from Flip or Flop. So you got that going for you. And I don't know if you saw this, Alex. They're doing a show called Barbie's Dreamhouse Challenge. Give Alex a second to catch up because he's frozen. So now he's got to catch up again. Oh, I think he's back.
I very well might be. I was trying to look up the other FX news that we were given regarding release dates, which is the final season of Archer.
Ah, okay. Maybe
I did not get there as it broke my system.
Yeah, try to do that on your phone. Maybe that way it'll take off from.
Let's hope.
But have you seen this Barbie's Dreamhouse Challenge on the HGTV?
Not at all. Not at all.
This the first episode aired this week, drew nearly 4 million viewers to HGTV.
Good for them.
So they got that going for them. Netflix has renewed Elite, one of their Spanish shows, for season 8. And I didn't know that Suits on the Netflix was a fairly new phenomenon. My wife is watching the entire thing, and apparently she's not alone because it's already got 2 billion minutes watched because Meghan Markle. So
I blame the Brits.
I didn't know there were 9 seasons of that show.
Nor do I.
He was on 8 of them. I walk in, I'm like, "You're still watching this?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm in season 7." Go ahead.
Okay, so the final season of Archer will premiere August 30th.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Let's see here. Nickelodeon announcing this week that they now have the rights to the entire 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series, and they'll be airing that as we lead up to Mutant Mayhem the first week of August. And Paramount Plus announcing that season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks will debut on September 7th. I think that's the one. Is that not the one, the animated one that Mantzoukas is part of?
Lower Decks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the Jack Quaid one.
Yeah. So season 4 starts September 7th.
Real quick before we get off of it, though.
Yeah.
Do you realize how many episodes were in that 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
I do not.
series? It broke my brain because I went to look it up and I was like, okay, they're listing 1987 over and over again, but I feel like I remember it going longer. There were 193 episodes. That's a lot.
Yeah, but you got to remember when it debuted, and this is not a knock. This is fact. When it debuted, you were 3.
Right, but the other part is that first season had 5 episodes.
That was the mini series that dipped the toe in the water. That's why I really enjoy this YouTube channel that I really have been watching a lot of called Secret Galaxy, where he does a lot of deep dives on shows like that.
Would you like to guess how many episodes are in the third season? Because the first season's the first season's 5, the second season is 13. What do you think is in the third?
56.
Less.
Really?
47.
That's about nine and a half weeks.
It's a lot.
It was weekly. I mean, it was weekdays.
Yeah.
So big news for both of us coming from Peacock this week, besides the fact that they've now increased their pricing $2 a month.
Mm-hmm.
September 22nd will be the first of 3 nights for the Continental from the world of John Wick.
Very, very interested in this.
That will be appointment viewing.
Absolutely.
And I would love if we got an email from our vendor giving those to us to watch early.
Pretty please.
Another headline for you from Prime Video.
Mm-hmm.
Gen V, the Boys spinoff, will debut September 29th.
Oh, see, this wasn't even the one I thought you were going to say, but yes, Gen V, absolutely.
And season 2 of Invincible will start November 3rd for 8 episodes, and then the rest of them will air in 2024.
But that is, if you have not watched that one, that is an amazing first season. That's the one Mantzoukas plays Rexplode in.
TV at home this week, season 1 of the Peacock show Pitch Perfect Bumper in Berlin, which I actually kind of want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 of Russian Doll and the complete series for Superstore available to you this week.
I never watched it, but everybody I know loved it.
So my wife loved Superstore. I don't think she watched the final season.
Okay.
Oh, now we get into the depressing part of the show. We have a couple of RIPs to do this week. Tony Bennett passed away at 96 the other day. Did you know that he was the first celebrity to appear as himself on The Simpsons?
I did not.
I read that today.
I would have, that's really interesting. I would have guessed it was one of the baseball players during the softball episode.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
You remember when Homer said, "Stupid non-magical team."
Mm-hmm.
What a run.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite Tony Bennett moments came much later in his life. Alec Baldwin does an amazing Tony Bennett. And when he would host SNL, they would do the Tony Bennett show.
Mm-hmm.
I like things that are great. And the last time, I think it was the last time they did it. He's like, I got a special guest to bring on today. He's a big fan, been following me my entire career. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome Tony Benedetto, which is his real name. And here comes Tony Bennett, and he's acting like Tony Bennett super fan 1, and it's brilliant. I loved it. It's got to be out there on YouTube. Look it up. I just and you look at that and you go, that man was 96.
Yeah.
So many great love letters from people that have worked with him. I saw the one from the Lady Gaga yesterday.
I was hoping you were going to highlight that. That was very nice. Very touching.
They did a whole album. And I mean, I've always said she's one of the most talented singers of her generation. And those two together was just magic. And very, very sad about that. Also within the music radio industry, got a couple of them hit me kind of hard yesterday. One personally, but the other one, Ron Sexton was his name. If you had 36 minutes in with our first Bob and Tom mentioned Clutch Your Winnings of customer service, Ron Sexton is an amazing comedian. And he was a guy that met Tom Griswold in the 90s. And he would call in and do different voices. And I was reading a 3-tweet series from Kostaki Economopoulos today. And Kostaki talked about his process. And he said what Ron would do is he would just listen to the show live, find a couple of topics that they were talking about, decide which voice he was going to use to call in. And he would always call in the second segment of the second hour. And he had a number of different characters. The one he was best known for was a listener by the name of Donnie Baker, who he actually in that character went on stand-up tours.
Yep.
Had a band called the Pork Pistols. Would always talk about some of his former bands. I saw a tweet today from Tim Cavanaugh, who said the one that broke him the most is said when he was in the Turtles with a D, which then he would always follow with, then we didn't want to do Christian rock anymore. He also did a character called Floyd Drucker, the Over the Road Trucker. He did a ton of voices for that show, and always a highlight. I mean, there are actually 2 full Donnie Baker albums out there you can get. One's called State Law. The other one's called My Job Sucks. When I read that yesterday morning, it hit me like a freight train. I'll be interested because they've been on vacation all last week. They're supposed to come back tomorrow. If they do, Tom will be spot on, as he always is. And the reason I say that is when we lost Tim Wilson suddenly a few years ago, it's the only time on that show I've ever heard Chick McGee just broken. Mm-hmm. And Chick at one point during that show says to Tom, I don't know how you're doing this. He goes, because I'm sitting here and I can barely talk. And you're just, man. Like he said it in a very loving, very respectful, like, I don't know how you're pulling this off.
Very endearing.
Part of me expects them to still be in best of tomorrow. And it will, if they do, it will be a best of Ron Sexton. Lived in Florida. Like both Chick and Christy have done podcasts with him. You can go back and with Ron Sexton talking about, because if you listen to the early Donnie Baker stuff, it took him about a year to kind of hone in on who Donnie was. The heck was that?
Sean throwing dishes around downstairs.
Okay, that was on your end. I wasn't sure if that was on your end or mine.
Yeah, my microphone's very good.
But the outpouring of support for him has been nothing short of heartwarming. like I sat there and it was the first post that came up in my Facebook feed when I woke up yesterday. That one and losing a dear friend of mine that I think we'll save that story for another day.
Mm-hmm.
Tough day. And I want to send all of our best to Ron's family, to Ron's friends. He entertained us for over 3 decades with that show. Tom put out a very, very beautiful statement about it. And my best to the crew. You know, you guys are amazing. I'll be a VIP as long as you'll let me be one. And this one was a tough blow for them and for us as an audience. All right. Let's pick up the pace a little bit now. Congratulations to one Taylor Swift. She now has more #1 albums than any woman in history ever.
It's crazy.
And last week's Speak Now's re-recording was 1 in every 4 albums sold. Yeah.
That feels like a made-up number. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I had to read it like 3 or 4 times. Like, is that right? Okay, fair enough.
It's like you expect there to be some kind of a Eucharism on the tail end of that makes it accurate. But it's straight.
Congratulations to Dead and Company. They have raised over $2 million for charity on their farewell tour that just wrapped up.
Nice.
They've auctioned off a bunch of memorabilia. So Ariana Grande and her Into You has joined the 1 billion view club on YouTube.
Newly single Ariana Grande.
Well, she might not be single for long from what I'm reading.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And apparently this guy's lady was like, I'm sorry, what's going on? Can people like you are we only moments away from concert venues going, if you're not wearing it, you can't come in with it?
I'm going to need that elaborated.
Apparently at a show last night, Drake had a vape thrown at him.
Okay.
Are you sure that's you?
If you're hearing something that sounds like plates and dishes, then yes.
Just so clear. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's downstairs across the house.
No,
the only one I heard about Drake was the fact that let's just say, larger than average bra was thrown on stage. He literally read the tag and asked the audience to find whose it was immediately.
And then you've got this Miranda Lambert thing,
which I'm going to need to hear about because I know nothing.
So apparently she kind of lost her mind during a concert this past week because somebody was taking selfies during the show.
Okay.
I'm going to explain this, and I need y'all to hear me. I saw somebody put up a diagram yesterday of the number of people, like the cross-section of people that couldn't see her because of this girl's phone. I'm going to explain something to you. Somebody lights up a phone to take a selfie. First of all, if I'm out on the lawn, that ain't going to affect what I'm looking at. That diagram I saw on Twitter is horse manure.
Well, you just described something on social media, so it's already a crapshoot.
And I understand, like, Miranda Lambert's about the music and blah, 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 blah. By the time you take the stage, you have their money.
Yeah.
I would also venture to say to you, Miss Miranda Lambert, the song you were singing, that young lady had memorized many, many, many times over. So not only have you gotten her money from her buying your album, you got her money from buying your ticket to getting her money from buying your merchandise. So if she wants to take a selfie with you in the background playing, number one, she has every right to do it. Number two, how is that is that so distracting that you can't play your music? That's very frustrating to me. Because to me, that's fandom. Somebody wants to have my picture with them.
Mhm.
As long as you're not using it in bad ways, I don't care. I got
Yeah.
your money. I got your
As
money.
long as you're no two asterisks on this. As long as you're not trying to profit in a negative way or really just profit in any way. And number two, if you're trying to take the picture during a show when you're presenting, not like following somebody to the bathroom or whatever, or in social, at the concert's fair game.
Got your money, got your ticket, got your
Mhm.
merchandise. Period.
Yep. You got very dusty in that one, and it was very well delivered.
Thank you. When I get heated,
Mm-hmm.
southern part of me comes out. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I can understand if she was filming you and that flash was right up in your eyes.
Yep.
I get it.
Or the people that film the entire thing. That's not okay.
Or don't
In my
film at
opinion.
all. Don't film at all.
Yeah.
Because part of the
I can't tell you the
experience-
last time I was at a concert that they didn't say do not film.
part of the experience is being there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch camera YouTube footage of a concert. I just don't.
And even the people that are filming it aren't going to watch it again.
I love it when people take stills because your camera's always going to look better than the video is going to look and sound. But when people take pictures at concerts, put them up. I'm here for it. Love to see it. But artists, they have that right to get over it. What's that look?
Comment.
Oh, we have comments. There's Russ. All right. Good to see you, Russ.
And apparently my reply triplicated.
Fair enough. Music new releases and places you get music new releases. I think I'm going to shock you on this, sir.
Go on.
New album called The Feminine Divine. That's not
Okay.
shocking. By a group called Dexies.
No Midnight? No Runner?
They are one and the same.
Okay.
Dexies Midnight Runners, now Dexies.
Okay. It's a little quicker, a little sharper.
Sounds like a diner.
It does.
Joni Mitchell with a brand new album called Joni Mitchell at Newport. There's a big discussion this week on how did this get made in Last Looks. The three hosts went to see her perform.
Oh, nice.
Big discussion with him because Manzukis is like a huge fan.
Mhm.
So Post Malone's new album Austin drops this week. I went to Raising Cane's and I saw those cups. Not really my bag.
I will say all of my experience and everything, Post Malone gets a pass from me.
Oh, I got nothing but love from Post Malone.
Yeah.
The cups didn't really do anything for me.
Well, it's money.
And Seven Dust with a new album this week
Oh, really?
called Truth Killer.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. I was a big Seven Dust fan.
Box office numbers from our friends at Box Office Mojo this week, dropping out of the top 10. Joyride drops from 9 to 13, making $350,000. 3 weeks, $12.5 million.
I can't wait to watch it again.
Let's see. I think that's the only thing that drops out of the top 10 this week. All right. It's dropping from 10 to going from 11 to 10 this week. No, drop 10 to 11 this week is The Little Mermaid, $687,000, just shy of $300 million. And that's not a full international release. So they're going to be
No, it's not.
dropping from 8 to 10 this week. No Hard Feelings does another $1.075 million. 5 weeks, $49.2 million. Transformers Rise of the Beasts drops from 7 to 9 this week with $1.12 million. 7 weeks, $155.7 million. I said it before and I'll say it again. You take Bumblebee out of the equation, it's the best one since the first one.
I agree.
Dropping from 6 to 8 this week, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, another $2.8 million. 8 weeks, $375.2 million domestic.
I was gonna say I can't wait to hear what the global on that is.
Have you looked at anything?
No, I have been avoiding it.
Global, $675.4 million. It's done 300 international.
That's shorter than I was expecting.
They're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Elemental drops from 5 to 7 this week. $5.8 million, 6 weeks, $137.2 million. Not bad. I haven't seen it. I'll catch it on the Plus. So let's see. Insidious, The Red Door drops from the bronze medal to 6th place this week. Oh, $6.5 million, but in 3 weeks it's made $71 million.
Which means it's triplicated its its budget.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny drops from 4 to 5 this week, $6.7 million, 4 weeks, $159 million.
They're not happy with that.
Yeah. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 drops from the gold medal to 4th place this week.
That is a further drop than I was expecting.
$19.5 million, 2 weeks, $118.8 million.
You know what? I can kind of see why that's a big drop, though.
We'll find out here in a minute.
The level to it.
Dropping from silver to bronze this week, Sound of Freedom has now passed and almost reached, has passed 100 million, almost $125 million in 3 weeks after $20.14 million this weekend. Unless you're living in a cave, you know what the silver and the gold are.
Can we just combine them?
No. Which one do you think came in silver?
I honestly believe Oppenheimer had the silver.
Would you like to guess what it pulled in Friday to Sunday?
Not enough. I'm going to go conservative and say 42 million.
You're a little over halfway there.
Okay, good. I'm glad it got more. It's
$0.5 million.
And for that to not be first, I would love to euchre fact this one. What's the most a movie ever made in its debut weekend without being number one? That's the stat I want.
And we'll get to worldwide here in a minute. Which means
for the other half of Barbenheimer.
Barbie does win the weekend. How much did it make?
Well, it was more than 80.5. So I'm going to say 96.
You're about 2/3 of the way there. Greta Gerwig now has the all-time opening weekend record for a female-directed film at $155 million. And the biggest opening weekend, I believe, of the year so far.
I believe that is accurate.
Now,
I would have thought that she had already had that record a couple of times over.
Oppenheimer worldwide, $174.2 million.
Not enough.
Barbie worldwide.
Oh, dear. This is going to go crazy.
$337 million. So both these movies combined, which, by the way, the latest numbers I heard that did the double feature this weekend was 200,000 people.
Yup.
Over 500 million worldwide between the two.
Good. I mean, people going to the movies.
How much longer do we got, though?
That's also fair. But
that's what frightens me.
The layer for Mission Impossible, like we were talking about before, was it losing all of its premium formats to Oppenheimer.
So your next two DC animated universe features will be Watchmen, which was kind of a surprise to me, and Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths. Here we go.
You have been calling for this.
Mm-hmm. And your next Group 2 strike could be IATSE. These are your engineers and your animation artists.
Ooh.
They tell a great story on Fat Man about why they're part of that and not part of the Writers Guild. Apparently Disney did that in the 30s.
I could see that. But we're getting basically everybody involved in production in one location.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know
in
when we're
place-
going to see this.
Movie new releases this week. Haunted Mansion this week. I'll be screening it on Tuesday. You're going to get 4 movies reviewed by us this week, kids. So get ready for that. Talk to Me, a new horror film. Don's got that covered.
As he usually does.
An animated feature called The First Slam Dunk follows Ryota Miyagi, a 17-year-old boy who apparently they've done a translation from
Japanese
another language. A 17-year-old boy who loses his elder brother when he was a kid struggles to accomplish his brother's dream to be a basketball star. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
No voices that I recognize. Also this week, let me pull this one up. I think this is also a foreign film. This is a horror film called The Mistress. Newlyweds move into a home and find remnants of a young lady who will haunt them.
I feel like I've heard something about this movie.
Again, nobody I really recognize in it.
Hmm.
All right. Movies at home this week. Resident Evil Death Island will be available for you on Tuesday. The Owen Wilson Paint.
Nice. Do we know where that's going to be released?
This is from Digital Bits.
Okay, so it's VOD. It's not onto streaming necessarily.
It probably is somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Justice League War World this week.
Okay.
I guess this is a newer release version of Marcel with the shell with shoes on. And because no one demanded it, the ultimate limited collector's edition of Jaws 2, The Revenge.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Those are different movies.
Oh, Jaws The Revenge was Jaws 3, wasn't it? No, that was Jaws 3D. Jaws Revenge was the 4?
Revenge was the 4th.
Oh, yeah, it's just Jaws 2.
Yeah, it's just no, but we have talked about it before. Jaws the Revenge, not a good movie, but my best answer to a press junket ever.
Yes.
From Michael Caine.
Some tech talk stuff. Twitter will now apparently be renamed X.
Okay.
Whatevs. We talked about Peacock. Comic-Con The Cruise.
I'm intrigued.
Week. February 5th through the 9th, going from Tampa to Cozumel.
Ooh, out of Tampa.
You leave T-Town alone.
I like Tampa, but the ships coming out of it, not so much.
And Universal Studios Orlando opening a DreamWorks land next year.
They're just combining things at this point, and I don't hate it.
And I would like to pat myself on the back a little bit. I learned this past week about something that I didn't know I could do, but there's a very specific reason of doing this that you have to do. There's this very specific step. I am not a small man. For those of you playing the home game, I stand about 5'11" and I'm tipping around 270 average. Office chairs don't tend to be my friend. Because even big and tall office chairs, before too long, the cylinder that does the height of the chair tends to not want to support me anymore. And I like to have my chair sit fairly high.
Mm-hmm.
So about 3 weeks ago, I decided it happened to a brand new chair I just bought not even 6 months ago that sits in my office, which is over there. I decided, can I fix this? So I Googled it and it says, yes, you can. So I went to the Amazon and I found a replacement cylinder for the chair that says it supports up to 1,000 pounds. $20.
Not bad.
So I ordered the replacement cylinder. The replacement cylinder comes in, and I think it was even less than $20 because I got it during Prime days. Getting the wheels off the chair wasn't a problem. Had a little hammer, turn it upside down, tap, 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 pull the thing off there. Now, to get the cylinder off the chair, it's a little bit different. The videos that I Googled, that I went to the YouTube for, hi YouTube, says you have to get a pipe wrench, lock it down, turn it, pops right out. Well, I don't have a pipe wrench. I have an adjustable wrench. I Had a pair of channel locks. Could not get it to budge. Could not get it to budge. So I went to the Home Depot and got me a pipe wrench for $20. Put the pipe wrench on, tightened it up, and there it went. So there's something about a pipe wrench that can do what other wrenches can't do. So I pulled that off, put the new cylinder on, put the cylinder back on the wheels, and it works like a champ. So you don't waste money on a whole new chair. You can actually fix that. Like this chair that I'm sitting in now, it's held up forever in a day. So I guess I got lucky with this one. But I've had some really nice chairs that I've had to throw away because I thought I couldn't fix that. Apparently you can. Google's your friend, kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message for today. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that pretty much covered it. But I do have to say, you could have saved $20 because I have at least 3 separate pipe wrenches.
Yeah, but it's not like you live up the street.
Yeah, but I work up the street.
No, I got a pipe wrench.
That's also fair.
So
you'd be surprised how often that can come in handy when you realize it.
Also fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do the plugs and get out of here. Make sure you visit our website. Well, I don't know if you mentioned it, but you can find reviews and stuff at www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Follow us on your social medias. Twitter is at Clubhouse Show. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can find me on all your social medias. It's right there. See, got it right the first time. Didn't even have to try. It's yes, that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com and either search for The Cheap Popcast or continue on after the .com/The Cheap Popcast. A lot of different shirt options, a lot of different color options within. If you are artistically inclined and you have any suggestions on anything you'd like to see on the store or even designs you'd like to submit, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
The official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions is Don Ford. You can follow him on Twitter at Igbunu, IGBUNUUU. Happy anniversary, Don and Faith, yet again. You can send me an email if you like. Questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall's on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Until next week, stay by the channel. We may or may not be having a show depending on what's going on. Stick by the channel. We got to coordinate all that. So until then, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer's been having a great vacation.